Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Camila, and today, to wrap up 2021, I've decided to do a video of my reading goals for 2022. So I will be wrapping up 2021 with my favorite books and some stats very soon, so they'll be in early 2022 once I've actually finished a year, because I'm actually desperately trying to finish 3 books in the last 4 days of the year. So we shall see how that goes. And I we'll be doing a wrap up, but ahead of that, I want to do a sort of list of goals. So it's not quite a TBR, but it's a list of goals that I want to achieve in 2022. And that started with the video I've just posted about the 22 classics I want to read in 2022. And you already can see that I'm going a little bit overboard, as I always do. I think I always go a little bit too heavy on the list. And that's just something that I enjoy doing. I just love to make lists, plans, it's just a pastime on its own. And it's fun to do the research, and make those plans. So I made a list which will be a little bit much, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's a challenge after all, isn't it? Let's dive right into my goals. And let's start with, how many books do I want to read in 2022? The number I came up with was 75, because that's about 6 books a month. And I want to kind of let myself relax a little bit. Since I've joined Booktube, I've read, I believe, more than 10 books, like 10 to 18 books, I want to say, a month. And I think that that's been a bit too much. And I've been really obsessively reading and listening to audiobooks. And I think I've been kind of really pouring my anxiety into that and kind of dealing with it that way. And that's fine, they're worse things to have, but I just want to read a bit more meaningfully this year. So I will try to have shorter TBRs. We shall see how that goes as well, because you know how I love a mile-long TBR. But if I can keep the core of, that reading month to 5 or 6 books, and then I can add little rom-coms, stuff like that along the way, I think that would be really good to give myself a bit less pressure and to just, have, a bit more of a mindful and meaningful reading year for 2022. So my next goal is actually, okay, this was a bit weird, but it's, I want to tackle my physical bookshelf, and that's been one that I've been trying to do a bit more of in the last few months, and I've been trying to pick purposefully books off of my bookshelf. Yeah. So I made the goal in my mind. I was like, okay, what if I'm not gonna go for read all of the books you haven't read, because that's frankly absurd. Because I will continue to buy, and I will continue to have books that I've not read and just owned. And actually, this kind of little parenthesis digression, I just read this article about how it's really good to keep a library with books you haven't read, because it's there for you when you need it, kind of thing. And it's also it's there to show what you want to expand your mind on. So yeah, I'll go with that. That said, I did count all of the books that I have unread in my library, including books I've received for Christmas. I will not say how many books I have that are unread, but you can do the math yourself. I want to tackle about 25% of my library is what I gave myself the goal, and that's about 40 books. So that's not, the biggest number. I think that's feasible. I'll probably have to update as I go if I buy more books. At the moment, I don't have goals to buy more books that I've not read. So we'll see how that goes, but I want to make a conscious effort of reading books that I own. So we're now at goal number 3, and for this one I decided to go with reading a book from a new to me country every month. So at least 12 books from countries I've not read from before. And that's kind of going with my goal of wanting to read around the world, but also because I've really noticed there's a pattern in, obviously I read a lot from the UK and from the US and from Canada, because that's a lot of the English writing is from, but also even in the other continents, I feel like writing is, or my reading anyway, is very concentrated to some countries that I have interest in, or that a lot of writers are known from. So obviously there's Nigeria, Japan, Chile, that I've found that I read more from. So I'd like to expand out of those countries I've read from before and really consciously pick countries and authors, and experiences that I've not read from before. So that'll be very interesting. I read from quite a lot of countries already, and I want to kind of continue doing that. So in my wrap-up video, you will see from how many countries I read in 2021. You'll have to come back to watch that to know what the number was, but it was quite high. Well, if I may say so myself. but I was quite pleased with it. So I want to continue doing that, but consciously picking 12 new to me countries. And as goal number 4, we're kind of going in a similar vein where I want to read a French book every month, so at least 12 as well. And that's obviously not French from France, French speaking writer, so obviously not translated in French. So, you know, from Quebec, from France, from hopefully some African countries as well, from Belgium. So yeah, I want to consciously keep reading in French because that's something that's, obviously that's my mother tongue, and I want to keep reading in it because it's really good for me because obviously I live in English, you know. And yeah, so I want to keep doing that. Goal number 5 is one that I've already made a video about, which is to read more classics. So I made a list of 22 classics I want to read in 2022, and I will put the little thing up here so you'll be able to go and watch that video if you're interested. And that includes reading books by Virginia Woolf and the Bronte sisters, as well as James Baldwin, Charles Dickens. I just want to kind of make sure to read some of those authors that I feel like I've always wanted and needed to read from. So I want to tackle some of that. I don't know if I'll manage all of them this year, but the list was really fun to make, and I definitely can't wait till next week so I can start on that challenge. As goal number 6, I decided to give myself the challenge to kind of follow more book prizes. And that's because I've loved that content over the last year on Booktube. And I think it's been really good to kind of make me discover books that I maybe would have never heard of or never read. So I think it's really interesting to follow these lists. I kind of started on that when I did my Costa Book Awards video. I think it was early in December. And the long list, or like the winners for each category, will be coming out in early January. So I may read like the winner from each one, and then they pick an overall winner. So I'll kind of call it like the short list, the winning short list. And so that's kind of the first one I want to approach. I also made a list of a couple of other ones that I'm really interested in following. That includes a Jalak Prize. I've actually just bought the winner from 2021, which was First Woman. I kind of became more interested in that list because I think I won one of their Twitter giveaway. So it was one of their long lists. And I just love the way they really represented those books and encouraged people to read them and like just promoted them. And I thought that was really great. So I want to continue following that. And if you don't know what it is, I believe it's a prize for authors of colour that are based in the UK and Ireland. There's also the Saltire Society Literary Awards, which is the best books in Scotland. And there's quite a few lists, and I don't think I'll be able to follow all of that. But I definitely want to follow like the best novel like of the year. I believe that just came out like in November, which like St. Andrew's Day and stuff like that. So I'm probably have a lot of time to look into that. But one of my books that I want to read in 2022 is the winner from 2021, which was Duck Feet. And I can't wait to read that. The other 3 British prizes that I want to follow are the Baillie Gifford Prize for Nonfiction, the Booker Prize, and kind of Booker International as well, and the Women's Prize for Fiction. Frankly, I think that Women's Prize for Fiction is the only one that really I'll be able to read the short list, potentially the long list, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, for that prize, because it's the one that interests me the most, and it's also I think one that will probably meet my interest the most. The other ones I kind of want to follow them, I want to see what's on the short list. If it interests me, maybe I'll pick up some of them if I can find them as well. But yeah, for now that's the only one, but I just want to keep an eye out for all of them and see how see who wins and you know how all of it goes. I'm also thinking of following 2 Canadian prizes, which is the Governor General's Literary Awards for fiction in French and in English, and the Scotiabank Gaylor Prize. But I feel like a bit less connected to the Canadian awards, and I hear about them way less, obviously, because I don't live there. So I will see how that goes. I think a lot of awards come out at the same time. I think a lot of them release their long list and short list, like, I want to say in the spring, summer. So obviously I'll have to prioritize, which is why I think at the moment Women's Prize for Fiction is the one that I'm keeping an eye out for. My next goal is to hopefully reach 1,000 subscribers. So this is one of my Booktube goals, and it's maybe a little bit whimsical, but I'm hoping to kind of carry on with engagement, you know, and like me with other people, and hopefully more people commenting on mine. And I've had some videos that have done really well this year. I think I have my nonfiction one that is maybe close to 1,000 views, which, you know, it's not that much, but for me it feels like a lot, and I'm quite pleased with it. You know, I'm just doing here from my living room, and yeah, so that's kind of one of my goals, and we shall see in 2022 how that goes. The second booktube goals that I had was actually to do more collabs and buddy reads. I'm definitely going to be doing another buddy read with Jay from my quarter life crisis, but I would love to do other buddy reads with other people. Obviously, if you've heard of a book that I'm interested in reading and we're like, oh, I want to buddy read with you, and I feel like there's a couple people that have done that already, please don't hesitate to get in touch, and let's do it. You know, I just love it, and it's nice to have a conversation about books, and let's chat about books. All right, we're now at the penultimate goal, which is goal number 9, and that is to read the female Nobel Prize winners for literature. So I think I found a book that was talking about the women who won Nobel Prizes, and then I was like, oh, I could read as like a challenge to myself all of the women of the Nobel Prizes. So I went through the list of all the winners, and there are only 14. So it's not that big of a list. I've found books, I think, for the majority of them. I think there's only one that I've not been able to find a book from, and I think that's a really recent winner. So yeah, I'm hoping to do it in order anyway of when they won. I think the first one won in 1909, I want to say. So that's kind of one of my goals, and I think I have quite a lot going on this year already in terms of how many books I want to read. So adding 14 is maybe like a bit much, but I will start this challenge this year and see how it goes. Maybe I can get to half of the women, and then I can do the other half in 2023. So we shall see. I would love people to join me in this challenge. So if you're interested in reading the women who've won the Nobel Prize of Literature, I'll be making probably a video soon and a list of all of them and their work that I'm potentially thinking of reading. So I would love to do buddy read with that. As I've just said, it's one of my goals to do more anyway. And I'd love to get other people interested in reading the women who have made history and winning the Nobel Prize for Literature. Finally, we're at goal number 10, and that's not really a goal. I think when I make these lists for myself of what I want to read more of or less of, or, you know, stuff like that, I also usually have a few authors that I would really want to read more of. I think in 2021 I actually managed to read at least one book from all the authors that I mentioned, but I really want to tackle more Ali Smith. So I obviously started her seasonal quartet in 2021, and I would like to finish it in 2022. I do want to read more Bernardine Evaristo. I'd like to continue with Elena Ferrante and her trilogy. As I've said in my classics video, I really want to read the Bronte sisters and Virginia Woolf. They're two authors that I'm going to try to focus on in 2022. So yeah, so these are kind of the last few authors that I'm kind of very keen on discovering more of. And Liv Shafak as well. I love the book that I read in 2021 by her, which was 10 Minutes and 30 Seconds in a Strange World. So I want to keep going. I know there's quite a big list of reading goals for 2022, but I just wanted to, you know, lay it all out. What I would like to do is, you know, this is here for a challenge, and as always, a bit of a wish list. Like, this is all the stuff I want to tackle, I'd like to achieve and explore and think about and read and immerse myself in. And I'm hoping that 2022 will be a good year for that. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I want to do more writing as well, and I'm potentially going back to university, and I, you know, want to go see my family, and I want to just spend more quality time and run a marathon and all of those things. But I also want to keep reading because it's such an important aspect of my life, and I think these goals will help me, guide me in that kind of journey. And I'm looking forward to challenging myself more in 2022. And also, I can't wait to read lots of rom-coms as well, and just lots of like fun and fluffy stuff as well. Don't think that because I'm just mentioning all of these serious goals that I'm not planning on doing light reading or, you know, novellas and some poetry and all of that. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, don't hesitate to share what your reading goals are for 2022, what you're trying to challenge yourself with. I can't wait to hear about everyone's plans. And also, you know, get in touch if you want to do a buddy read. As I said, it's one of my goals, and I'd love to meet kind of more like-minded people, and it's gonna be a good reading year. So as always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hey, see you back. Bye.